Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Table Ready. I'm Harry from Fog of War, and this guy on my other side here is.
Adam from Dice of War. G'day. I was waiting for you to say something.
And I was waiting for you to say something. We're so slick. We're so good at this. And the guy next to you is.
I am Kristian from Painting Panzers.
That's a bit better. And we are modeling. We are not modeling for Advantage. That's the wrong one. No, I'm doing that in a couple of days, though. I'm on the 18th with the Kaiser and crew. But today we're going to do Eastern Front, the latest Battlefront set of release. It's the compilation release. So that's what we're going to do. But what's everybody been up to? So I'm assuming everybody knows who everybody is by this stage. So I don't know we need to do intros anymore. But Kristian, it does, but that's no good if nobody knows what those actually mean. But Kristian, you're the only one of us so far who's actually putting out actual content at the moment, because I'm not. So how about you tell us what you've been up to this last month?
So I've moved away from wargaming temporarily. I'm focusing on scale models at the moment. So I'm actually I've released a Brewster Buffalo video in 1:144 scale for any of those that want to do a Pacific War. Getting ready for the BF release whenever that will be. And I'm also painting for Adam some Italian planes for the Russian front, which hopefully we'll see a little bit of later on. And that video is coming out this weekend.
Great. Oh, we'll look forward to that. The planes have been looking really good.
Thanks. And just a note on that as well, I'll be releasing the Peter Pig British Airborne Jeeps part 2. So I released part 1 a few weeks ago, so it'll be part 2, which will be the painting, and they've painted it really nicely, so happy with that.
Great. Well, we've got a few people in the comments. We might just say hi to them. So we've got Allard, our favourite Welsh guy, who's there. Simon, who I don't know. Some more Allard.
Simon the Sorcerer?
Simon VOLYE, Volley.
Right.
Well, hello.
I really badly mangled that. That's why I was trying not to do that. Trekem Beluvic, all the way from Germany, I believe. And Samurai Granata Brew. Panzerschule, so that's Frank. Hi, Frank in Scotland.
Hey,
so
Frank.
We've got people from all over.
Hi,
Anyway,
everyone.
so what do we got? Is there an option for Lend-Lease Shermans in this book? I have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't look at the Russian side.
I don't think so, sadly.
I don't think so either, but we'll chase that up. So that's actually...
It might be in a later one.
Yeah, not sure when they actually went there. Trekhan saying yes, he's a sauerkraut. So, well, there'll be lots of German for me to mispronounce a bit later on. So we'll be looking forward to that. You can give me a mark out of 10 every time I mispronounce something really, really badly in German. That sounds like a really good idea. Oh dear. Anyway, so we are going to talk about Eastern Front. So shall I put the slides up, gang?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's put the slides up. There we go. So yeah, we're going to talk about Eastern Front. So Eastern Front is the new compilation release for Flames of War. So similar to what they did with North Africa for the desert, this is the Eastern Front. But it might surprise you just how much it covers. Because if we have a look, there's the new book in the middle, but what it actually encompasses is all of those books down the side. So for the Germans, that's Iron Cross and Ghost Panzers, and for the Russians, that's Enemy at the Gates and Red Banner, Fallschirmjäger from Death from Above, White Death is the Finns, Hungarian Steel is oddly enough the Hungarians, and... What's the other one? I can't read it at this size. Romania. That's
Romania.
Brave Romania.
Brave Romania.
That's it.
I am a little disappointed that they didn't put Eastern Front Italians in, but it had been a whole new book. So,
yeah.
And you can do what you can almost, well, you can make an Eastern Front force out of the Avanti. So
Right. Okay. So that's So that's quite a lot of books in there. And given the pricing of that, if you're missing one or two of the books in that series, buying the Eastern Front compilation book's actually a pretty good way to fill it all in, isn't it?
yeah, it's a pretty thick. It's very thick.
It looks huge. I haven't got it yet, but it looked like a pretty cool book.
Yeah, I saw it at Tactics the other day. I'm still waiting on my copy to arrive, but it's
That's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer that. When I bought it or I got it somehow, the Death from Above.
stole it, something, I don't know.
Yeah, Fallschirmjäger one, and it was like a magazine. It was tiny. It was just like there's
Sure.
no even point having this. So it's good to see it all in just one big book.
Yeah, but at least they did it.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did it, but they
yeah.
could have been in the Iron Cross book. I mean, it would have saved them a lot of time, or Ghost Panzers. I mean, it was just Anyway, my opinion.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of blisters of Fallschirmjäger that I might have accidentally bought, even though I don't actually feel Germans. I need to keep telling myself I don't feel Germans. I should stop buying them. So yeah, I might have to have a look at that because it's just the infantry so far, so I haven't got any of the support units to actually make a proper list with it. So, Samurai says, question about my favourite World War II Soviet vehicle, the Su-76M. Can I make a formation that primarily or entirely uses this vehicle exclusively? I would have to say I haven't had a look, but...
You mean just the normal Su-76, or is it different? So there is a formation that is missing from the Enemy of the Gates, whatever the Soviet book is. I think it's Red Banner that has the Su-76 in it.
Right.
It's available on Flames of War. It's
on the website.
On the website. So it's if you actually buy the card pack, on the back of the card pack, there's a picture of the Su-76 formation, but it's actually not in the card pack. So it was a muck-up. So it's free online. So yes, you can get an Su-76 formation,
but it's it fell out of the book.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sort of super au fait on all my Su-76, but I know, isn't the Su-76 a different variant, possibly with more front armor? But if you want a standard Su-76 formation, yes, it's available. You can find it on the Flames of War website.
Great. No, that's good. So Trekan says he's got the book already, and it's 360 pages.
Yeah, that's big.
And, I mean, given the way they're pricing those, the compilation books are only a bit more expensive than the individual books, aren't they?
Yeah, this one's 60 US, I think.
Yeah.
So it is expensive, but not when you price all the books together. It's a good deal.
All right. So yeah, that's all the books that it's got in it. So there were some good questions there from the crew, which is good. And again, we've had a bit of a look, but we kind of... I'm concentrating on the mid-war monsters, and Adam and Kristian have made a list each. Although it sounds like Adam might have gone off-piste a bit for Eastern Front. We'll see what happens with that. That's something to...
Classic Adam.
It's Eastern
Classic
Front.
Adam. It is Eastern Front. Yeah, okay. That's a bit like, the dog ate my homework, so I made this instead. So as well as the books... You didn't like what was in your homework, okay. So there are a couple of starter boxes, and I remember a little while ago we were talking about infantry in starter sets, and I said, yeah, Battlefront doesn't like to do it very much. Well, the Stalingrad one is almost all infantry, if you have a look at that one on the bottom.
I think that's really good. I really like how they've done that.
Yeah, so we can talk about those. So the Stalingrad one is lots of infantry. The Kursk one is all tanks, as you might expect for the two different theatres there.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the Stalingrad one just have like a German recce unit, like the. I'm assuming that's. I haven't actually looked at it. I'm assuming that Russian tank is some sort of recce tank or light tank.
It's the T-70 light tank. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would have liked to have seen maybe like a sprue of, I don't know, Panzer IIIs or like a couple of recce vehicles in there just to give them a vehicle choice, just so they can, if they were buying it starting into the game, they could learn vehicles and infantry, because it is obviously, for the German side at least, it's very
I think
infantry
they're matching
heavy.
points. I think they're roughly matching points, though.
But yeah, you
So
could ditch those two Panzer, Pack 38s though for something a bit lighter, I'd say. But then
yeah, I
they're not
agree.
empty.
I agree, but I think they're kind of roughly matching points. But yeah, if
Yeah,
you can
that's
put in
fair
like
enough,
some.
yeah.
Have they got plastic scout cars now?
They haven't got 221s or 222s, no.
They don't. Oh, okay.
No.
Well, they did.
Maybe that's why.
No, they don't have those yet.
Yeah, only metal. I thought.
Yeah. So let's see, what is it? It's a couple of Pack 38s, so 5cm anti-tank guns on the German side, and some mortars. I was hoping this would be bigger so I'd be able to read the damn thing, but I can't. And on the Soviet side, you've got 2 platoons of infantry, I think, plus Maxim guns, and 4 76mm Cis-3 guns, also in plastic, plus the T-70s.
So, what does the point? Does anyone know what the actual points come to? Like, is it 50 points? Is it 60? I can't see it being much more than that, surely.
No, I actually don't know what the points are exactly. You're asking me lots of questions I didn't know.
I put the
I
link
don't know,
for
that's
the
why I'm
command
asking you.
card for the SU-76 in the comments, so it should be there for anyone who wants to find it. If you just search Flames of War community cards, it's down there.
All right, so a question for you guys and the crew listening in. If you were to get the Kursk box set, which side would you want to use? Because personally, I think the Germans have got far superior. Maybe Panzer III. Oh, there's a couple of Panzer IVs. Is that one Panzer IV?
It's a mixed panzer company with...
Panthers.
Hang on, let me go through. Here we go. German force, Soviet force. Sorry, I'm looking at the Stalingrad one at the moment. I'll go find the Kursk one again in a minute too.
Sorry, I've thrown a curveball, but I'm just
You have
looking
thrown
at,
a curveball.
Who would you rather be in this situation? Who would you rather play?
Germans.
Well, I've already played Soviets on that side, so I quite like the Soviets with big blobs of infantry.
Look, I think the Soviets would be interesting, especially with those Su-85s there. They've got 4 Su-85s, so they'll punch holes through most of the lighter tanks.
They certainly will.
And then you've just got to rush the other ones.
Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got. We've got, for the Kursk one Panzer IV Leith as the HQ. You've got a mixed tank platoon with 1 Panzer IV Leith and 2 Panzer III Leiths, a tank platoon of 2 Panthers and 1 Tiger. And on the Soviet side, you've got 7 T-34s, 3 Valentines, and 4 Su-85s. If I was on that, I'd want the Soviets, to be honest.
But what are they to hit in mid-war? Is it still 3+ to hit most Soviets? Yeah, I wanted to go German. Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, no, I'd go with the Russians. I really would, because you could just mob people with T-34s. Although I would also then add my KV-8 flame tanks, because they worked really well for me.
And they look cool as well.
And they looked cool, and they frightened the bejesus out of everybody. It was great. So yeah, let's look at the Stalingrad one then. So you get a HQ with command teams for the Germans, 2 infantry platoons with 7 infantry teams each, an anti-tank platoon with 2 5-centimeter guns. I really want to look at those 5-centimeter plastic guns. I haven't had a chance to look at one of those or build
The
one
German
yet.
ones.
Yeah, the German ones.
They're nice.
Yeah. What were they in? Because I think they were only available for a Fallschirmjäger thing or something.
No, you could get them with the 5-centimeter guns with DAC. They had a platoon in the Africa.
Oh, okay. I might have to go and buy some of those then, because I want to build some.
Yeah.
And you get 3 Nebelwerfers.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of neebling that can happen.
Mm.
For the Russians, you get 2 command teams, 2 infantry platoons, each with 1 command team, a commissar team, 9 infantry teams, and 2 Maxim teams. So plenty of stuff. 4 76mm gun teams and 3 T-70 tanks.
Yeah, and the good thing with those 76mm is that they can be both in mid-war. They can certainly be both anti-tank and artillery. I mean, they've got low rate of fire, but
Yeah,
still.
they're very versatile though.
I really, if it wasn't my only, was it Trekan had just commented that he really likes the new soft plastic German mid-war infantry.
Yeah.
I think the detail on them are good. My only issue is the size of their heads. They seem big. I don't know why. But I wish, if I was starting, I reckon I'd love that Stalingrad set because there's just so much value. That's a whole heap of value in that.
Yeah, that is good.
That's so good.
I mean, you could just grab both sets, couldn't you? And you'd be set for mid-war.
Yeah.
You can pick and choose what you wanted. So yeah, they've done good that way. Probably with that in mind, hoping people would get both sets.
So Spammerai says all you need is the Jagdpanther, King Tiger, and Yap Tiger apparently, but that's probably the Jag Tiger
New one.
to have the whole German cat roster. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
So yes, get one of the late war ones as well. Okay, so those are the new starter sets. So I think we agree they're all pretty good value. The German ones are a real mix though, because you've got 2 of this and 1 of those and a couple of the others. So they do mixed tank platoons, but it does mean you've got a lot of different things. It's not very themed.
I guess you could do like some sort of Panzer company with the Kursk one, like because you'd have to have a HQ of. I don't know which one you'd take. Is that
I think in the mixed Panzer company you can, so you'd have like a Panzer IV HQ, and at least one of the compulsories would be Panzer IIIs and IVs, but then I think you can tack on other things, so you start getting options for the other companies.
Yeah, you're right. It's a mixed Panzer company, so you take 1 Panzer IV as a HQ, and then some more Panzer IIIs as one of your compulsory, then a Panther as your second platoon, and then a Tiger, a single Tiger, and that'd do your force. Yeah.
And I suppose it does give you a lot of different vehicles to have had a look at.
Yeah.
So as the German player,
it's like a tasting platter or something.
it is like a tasting plate. Yeah, a bit of a sort of smorgasbord. But I suppose it also means, are you going to be, I want to get lots of Panzer IIIs and IVs, or are you, I'm going to get rid of those and have Panthers and Tigers in my thing? And some of that is personal taste. So from there you can decide which way you're going to go with that.
But you won't be getting many in mid-war.
You won't be getting
your
many.
Your force will be very small.
I had a look at that when I was looking some of the mid-war monsters, and there's some of them going, okay, 4 of them's like 80 points, so you probably won't get very many of those.
Which sometimes would be a good thing with some of them, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, so we went on to make some lists, and I think the first victim on the chopping block is Kristian. So what did you make, Kristian?
So I've gone with a Grenadier company. Feel free to criticize it as much as you like because it was just off the fly. I wanted to go with sort of like more of an infantry-based, like assault company. So I've gone with 2 Grenadier platoons. I didn't give them any extras because I needed to save my points for all the other cool stuff. I've also gone with an assault pioneer platoon. I've never used flamethrowers before, so hey, let's give them a go for assaulting those Russians that we're probably going to come up against. A platoon of MG34s. The reason I picked those is because for 2 points per base, you can add them to a grenadier platoon. But that's 2 points, so for free, you're paying 6 points, whereas you get an extra one if you take them in its own separate platoon. So I went that route. Got some mortars because I have no RT, so I want some smoke in there if I can, and to maybe dislodge anyone that's RT or anyone that's dug in or pin. And then I've got my martyrs, which are incredibly cheap. I think these might have been amended, or they're going to be amended, or they've been amended to reflect the tournaments that go on points wise. 2 recce troops, and for fun, a Tiger P. If I was taking this competitively, I wouldn't have taken that Tiger. I would have probably thrown in a better sort of maybe Panzer freeze or something that I can get a bit more out of because I only get the 1 Tiger P.
Tiger could do pretty well.
It would, but as Harry would know, I took a Ferdinand against his, and when it's on its own, it just sort of like rumbles around and tries to pick stuff off, but only gets a rate of fire of 2 or something, so it never ends up doing much. But it's a good distraction.
You mean apart from winning the game, it kind of did that?
Yeah.
It didn't win the game. It took about 10 turns to go from like one side of the board to the halfway mark of the board. It was that bloody slow, but I think everyone else won the game in that one. And then I also took Panzer Knackers for my Grenadiers, so they get 2 cards of those.
Yeah, so you've got cards.
Yeah, and the capture tank, never used it. I thought it would be cool if I'm going to be using infantry to assault stuff, then we might be able to sneak a Russian tank and take it over. I've never used the rules, so I don't actually know how it works.
If you assault, then you get to take over?
Yeah, but it's like the stats are awful for using the tank. But it would be cool to
unless
steal
it's
your tank.
on the other foot, because when someone captures your Tiger, but you won't be able to kill it. I think that was one of the most hated cards out of the V4 mid-war book. Just that it was a bit silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon for a fun game, it's great. Yeah.
I think it would be cool if somebody, because I think the Russians can take, I'm not sure if it's in the mid-war book or the late-war book, but I know the Russians can take German captured vehicles, so it'd be pretty cool to capture a Tiger or Panther back off the Russians.
Yeah.
At least we'll know how to use it. But that's the list. So, I wouldn't take it as a competitive list, but for a fun game, I think it'd be cool, and it throws in the mid-war monster. And I'd like to see the Tiger P in action.
And that's your painted Tiger P, isn't it?
That's from a while ago. I actually gave that to a bloke in Switzerland that helped me out with
okay.
the models. Yeah. But yes, that was mine. Yeah.
So Spammerai says, why would you ever steal someone's tank? You should have all the Shermans you can fit already in your list.
I think for me, the captured tank card would be more like, I'm probably going to lose anyway, but it's a little win against the person that's beating me. So it'll be like, haha, I stole your tank, even though you beat me. So I think it'd be pretty cool to do.
Yep. Adam, is that your mouse making that noise?
Oh, sorry, I fidget sometimes.
Okay. So yeah, we've got a couple of command cards there which are interesting because I don't believe in them, but the Panzer Knacker one would be interesting. What does that allow you to do?
They can't hurt you.
It gives you better tank assault, I believe.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Yeah. Am I right in that, Adam? Yeah.
Yeah. So you get an AT3. So
I substituted the anti-tank rifle because I've used them in the past to literally no effect at all. So I thought I'll use the Panzer Knacker card because I built it around an infantry assault sort of company, especially with their flamethrowers. But you can only use the card once, so it's not like the platoon gets them indefinitely. That's why you had to get 2 cards, because there's no point having one card if I'm going to be assaulting. I'd like more,
Ooh.
obviously, but it's 2 points a card, so. It's,
So unlike sticky bombs, where you get to hang on to it.
No, well, you don't hang on to them anymore.
Oh, you don't anymore? Okay, sorry, I'm thinking I've only ever used them under the 3.5 rules where you actually buy
even
them.
sticky bombs. So all the grenade, like
Everything.
anti-tank grenades, is one use only. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Molotov cocktails and...
Well, I suppose that limits the number of my own units I can blow the hell up with the damn things. Well, that's what they normally do.
I don't know if that's in the rules anymore either, Harry. Because it was the same with the Italian Passaglia Molotov cocktails. If you rolled a 1, you killed yourself, but you don't do it.
And I always lost at least 2 infantry stands when I was doing tank assaults.
Yeah.
That was very embarrassing.
That are wondering, this is a 100-point list because I think it's cut off on the thing.
It is. I have to blow it up as much as I can to try and make the text at least moderately readable on here.
No, you've done
so plenty of MP40 SMG teams, a couple of grenadier platoons, which is great. The flamethrowers, which will scare the heck out of everybody. The HMGs are always good. Mortars are great. The Martyrs are your anti-tank workhorses. So how did you plan to use the light scouts?
In all honesty, just to support, so sort of like I would have them at a weak point on my enemy's side, and I'd use them to sort of get me the extra 4 inches or whatever, 2 inches or whatever it is, I can't remember, of deployment, and then just race them on in with the infantry. The reason I like the Tiger P is because it's 29 points, so if I was to have reserves, I literally just have to put the Tiger P, and I could put 1 grenadier platoon and a light scout troop in there, for example, or I could put in the assault pioneer platoon and just a Tiger P, and everything else is on the board. So that's a good thing to take into consideration when you're building a list, is how many points you're going to be using, not how many points, sorry, what you're going to be putting in reserve. If you can limit the amount, that's obviously a lot better. So that was my thinking. The Tiger P will just be there to snipe any difficult armor that needs dealing with. But yeah, the recce, there's not much they can do apart from taking out light half tracks or whatever and get me that extra bit of movement. But I've seen them used well, so maybe I'll learn.
So they're not for like speedy punching down a flank somewhere to threaten an objective, or?
I mean, it's all dependent. It all depends on the mission and what sort of scenario I'm playing. I might be forced to defend, and they're not going to be as much use opposed to like counter attacking. But yeah, as you know me too well, Harry. The tactical side of me is not that great, so I just put in the cool vehicles and let them do the work and pretend that I know what I'm doing.
Fair enough. It's not all that far away from my tactics. So, Adam, should we go on to your list?
Oh, I was just going to say, with the grenadier platoons that he's got, I normally like to put the HMGs in them, just because it means it's harder for them to get picked off. I do agree, though, like it makes them more expensive. I think.
So you can use mistaken target to.
Yeah, so you can. Yeah, whereas if they just shoot up your HMG teams, then they're gone. But
I just thought it's a bit 2 points for.
It comes down to points, heavy. So yeah. But I really like the assault pioneer team. They're cool. I still think.
Yeah, I've never used one before, so it'd be pretty cool. But, and the Grenadier Company HQ, you could attach a sniper, which I really wanted to do, but they're 2 points. I've never used snipers before. I think they should be used more, but. 2 points again for just a sniper team seems a bit harsh.
Yeah, they're pretty good at pinning units.
Yeah.
So they'll kill them and pin them, but yeah.
So Trekhan's saying that wheeled vehicles are not so great for fast advance. So yeah, unless you had a road network to push them down or something down that side.
Yeah. A track 2.5, 250 half track's probably better if you can.
Right.
Take it. It's got better cross value and it's got better movement.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay, so let's look at Adam's list. Now, given that we were talking about the Eastern Front book, Adam.
Yeah.
Where did your list come from?
up the top there. That's what it says. So, mine's from the Avanti Africa book. But
I must have missed who in that one was included in the Eastern Front comp.
Yeah. So, but I'm doing it on an Eastern Front force. So, I'm basing this off the Bersaglieri motorcycle company. Mm-hmm. So when they sent the Cuirassier, which was the first Italian Eastern Front force before they made that big army, the bigger force. So when just after Barbarossa, the Italians went and they sent a couple divisions and a Bersaglieri battalion. So they had motorcycle troops and bicycle troops, and they also had their weapons companies. So I've got here the weapons company HQ, which is actually a second. It's not my main formation, but it was just one that I like to add in the extra bits that I had. So I've got some 2 weapons platoons with HMGs and anti-tank rifles. I agree I wouldn't take the anti-tank rifles, except I have to. So, yeah. So they've got the 3MG team. So they're basically just going to sit there and hold stuff. They're not really for attacking. And they've got 3 anti-tank 47mm anti-tank guns. We've got a scout car for basically the same reason Kristian took his wheeled scout cars. Basically, it's an infantry delivery system for scout and spearhead. Put your infantry up further. Got some howitzers. Now, I've got this Lancia. It's not really a Lancia. I'm using it to represent the command card for the community card for the Semavete 4732s. So the only tanks or vehicles that the Italians had on the Eastern Front was a few AB41s like we've got there, armored cars. They had the Semavete 4732s, and they had some L640 light tanks. That's all they had against KV1s and T34s. So they didn't have much luck.
For a laugh.
Yeah. So you've done a bit of substitution in this list, haven't you?
Oh, just the one. So, sorry, that's
so not
true.
The aircraft as well.
So yeah. The planes are actually. I'm going to use the stats for the CR42, but they're actually the Saeta, which is Kristian's painted up for me beautifully. So we'll hopefully see those in a sec. And I've got to actually give me some decent anti-tank. I've got a German Allied 7.62 anti-tank gun, which the Italians actually had some of these, not loaned to them, but with German crews working with them to help boost up their anti-tank, because the Germans knew that the Italians didn't have very good anti-tank. And I've also got 3 Panzer IIIs to basically actually help assault things. They're not for anti-tank, they're actually, I use them for assault.
Yeah. All right. So that is you mentioned the community card. So this is one that you can get off the Battlefront website, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I actually wrote the little blurb for that. So, you get 4 for 6 points. They're basically a 4732 strapped on a L640 tank chassis, and it's open top. So these guys were fighting in the middle of winter around Stalingrad, fighting off T-34s, and weren't having much fun. But they did knock a few out, but I think they lost a few. Certainly lost a few trying to do that. But look, it's fearless, which is pretty cool. It's hit on 4, and if you roll well enough on your Italy dice, you can actually get 3+ veteran. Yeah. So means that they can blitz.
And
pretty
heat's cool.
And they got heat. So So AT7. Sorry, well, not AT7. That was the old rules. Now it's AT6. No matter what range it is. So it doesn't matter if you're over 16 inches. The enemy doesn't get to add
6.
Their armor to the front.
They're +1 for range. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And-
I like doing these sort of themed, historical-based armies. They're usually pretty useless,
Classic
tournament-wise
Adam.
or competitive-wise.
Are
But
you going to paint them up to look like the one in the
yeah,
picture?
yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but
Good luck.
that's what I'm going to try and do. I think I'll have to hand paint it because I thought about
Yeah.
trying to airbrush it, but
Yeah, no, brush painting would work fine for that.
yeah. But I don't know. Should I do the base? It looks like it's a base of green with
With sand over the
sand
top.
put over it.
Yeah,
I guess to me that's what it looks like.
yeah.
I always find it's easier to paint darker colors though than light, so I'd probably still go with the light color. This is myself. I'd still go with that sand color and then paint the green on because I don't know. I have more problems with the lighter colors.
Mm.
Trekan's asking if that's the third fast division, I believe.
Yes, yeah,
Division
the fast
Solari.
division, the Solari. So that had basically their fast troops. Solari is fast. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
They must have been special characters, like or like not even volunteering, but like willing to even go in those things. You'd be like I'll desert. I'll rather get shot than be blown up in one of those bloody things. You know, it's just that looks horrible to operate.
Yeah,
Now that example there also looks like it's got whitewash in the
It does,
suspension.
yeah, on the suspension. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Adam, I cut you off there.
Oh no, I actually can't even remember what I was going to say.
I suppose with this, at least you wouldn't have to walk to Stalingrad. You've got a vehicle to get you there. You just don't last very long when you get there.
And that was the other problem. They didn't have many vehicles. The Italian army was mostly on foot. The only the Solari was probably the most mobile division, and even then, it didn't have enough vehicles to transport all the troops.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
cool,
so with the two sets of ratings, in case anybody hasn't seen that before, so the Italians at the beginning of the game have to roll for each unit to find their quality, and you can never tell whether your units are going to be elite units or somewhat sadder units until you actually roll up on the table. So it's interesting because it's the roll of the dice that makes that interesting. So your big unit that you spent a lot of points on can be run by dullards, and your insignificant units could be elite macho insignificant units.
Yeah.
And
that was the problem.
interestingly, the Romanians in the Eastern Front book have the same deal. So they have the peasant army rule. I was having a look at. So when you start the game, when you start the game, you have to roll for them, and they have different stats depending on what you roll for your particular Romanian unit. And again, that people got dragooned into it, and most of their army came from the peasant class with officers from the noble class. So you couldn't rely on the quality of your units, which I think is a very interesting thing to have done to you.
Yeah. The Italians' problem was that they basically expanded their army too fast and didn't have enough officers. So they basically promoted, anyone that had connections, and whoops.
Fair enough. So this is the Mackie C200 Saeta that you're going to use as proxies for the CR42 Falcos.
Yep.
And these were painted by Kristian.
He did an excellent job.
He did.
Very happy with them. I still haven't got them in my mitts yet, but
I'm going to get around to sending it. I just need to take
one
a photo.
That's all good.
No, they were awesome. It's an awesome kit.
Yeah.
But my video is going to talk all about it. But
so you've got an upcoming video on that one?
Yeah, that's this weekend.
Great.
But yeah, that was fun. I really enjoyed airbrushing that one. It's cool.
Great.
And you've done a really good job weathering it as well.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Appreciate that one.
No, that looks fantastic. And you've also got, Adam, some for the desert, some G50s?
I don't know
what.
I was going to say, I don't know what I've started here because I said, I'll paint two, and now he keeps it. The list is growing ever longer. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, so I've got two G50s, so they'll be the desert ones. So it'll
Yeah.
kind of look similar to this, but opposite. So it'll have that sandy desert kind of look, and then some green splotches, I think. But yeah, that's pretty much how the Italians do their planes.
Okay. So yeah, that does look very, very nice, Kristian. I'm waiting for the video for that.
Thanks, Harry.
All right, and here's the other half of your list, Adam.
Keep it going.
Yes. Yeah, so here's the Motociclisti the whole idea that sort of started me on this. So we've got the Motociclisti command card. So that just basically means that the small five stand Bersaglieri platoon means that they start off mounted on motorbikes, and then they can hoon around on the board. And then once you want to turn them back into infantry, which you discard the card, but that's it. Once you do that, you can't put them back on the bikes again.
So they can't get back on their bikes. That's a bit sad.
Nah. Yeah, I know. I think that's a bit silly. But
so I tweaked that photo down there that you sent through, so you can actually see that is an Italian machine gun mounted on a motorcycle there, and actually fired. So they park the bikes and fire them off a mount on the bike.
Yeah, and they could even fire them on the move, but I don't think the accuracy was very good. But
do BF sell the motorbikes still? Or?
No.
Because normally when they do command cards, I thought they released the models to
I think that was something that they did with late war.
Right.
I don't know if they did that with mid-war.
Well, the other thing is you've got 5 L640s in there, so good luck finding any of those too, unless you've already got them.
I've got many boxes of those, Harry.
Fair enough.
And we've got an Italian enthusiast in the room.
Yes.
And the Passaglia bombs. So that's the command cards again for an improved tank assault.
Yeah. So basically, it gives you an AT3 for one turn. So that's probably something that people should, if they're not too familiar with it. So it's the whole assault phase that you have that.
So all the teams in that assault have.
Yes.
So they all bust out their special anti-tank bombs all at the same time.
Yeah, for that assault. But let's say you've got a turn where you get assaulted by multiple teams.
Once you've used it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're tricksy or they've got lots of tanks, is assault you with one, and you use those to fight off that one.
And then steamroll you with the others.
Then steamroll you with the other. But something that I'm looking at, I think I've spoken about the alternate mid-war rules that a lot of the tournament organisers are using. There's talk about making those like a permanent. It's just an upgrade that you add, and that's it. It lasts for the whole game, which I think is better. If you're going to pay that many points, I think it's good.
Yeah.
Because your inventory is pretty expensive as it is.
So Alan says that he was feeling tempted to do an Italian army. And Trekan said at the moment Battlefront doesn't have much Italian stuff for sale.
I've been told they're getting restocked shortly.
I did wonder because they had the Eastern Front sale to coincide with this release that expires, or has it just recently expired?
No, it's still
it's still on, is it? Yeah. I had assumed that they were then clearing that out because they were expecting a restock of something.
Well, the Italians, as you pointed out, Harry, are not on the Eastern Front, so they're not part of the sale.
So they're not part of the sale, okay.
But I think when they had that sale, the other sale a couple of months ago, the mid-war sale, they pretty much cleared out all of their mid-war stock with that. So I think they're waiting for restock. But I've been told that's coming back soon.
Fair enough. Well, that'll be good. So what else have you got? So you got a motorcycle company with Kakana rifles, rifle platoon. So this is a motorcycle company command card.
Yep.
9 breeder MGN Kakano rifle teams.
Yep. So it's basically a different formation. So normally with your Bersaglieri formation, it's just infantry stuff. There's no AA vehicles or tanks. This one is kind of like a hybrid.
So you've taken the second formation.
Yeah, so this was actually my main formation, the one that I wanted to base everything off. It's just that how it works in the list builder. They've moved it. But that's the big change from version 3 to version 4. The bursting area now back to their 9 stand large platoons, and then your weaponless platoons are what with the old, similar to what with the old desert mixes. So I haven't got a problem with that. I think it's good.
But only the 5 based platoon get the motorbikes, right? Everyone else.
Yeah, so you can't do the card basically puts a limitation that you can only use the 5 stand, the smaller platoon.
Right, the smaller platoon. Okay.
So if you pick 2 5-stand platoons, could you put both of them on motorbikes? You can.
Yeah, but I've got to pay the points. So it's 2 points per, which I think is a lot. It should probably be 1 point. But the other cool thing is that you can also put the Breda HMG teams.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So you can actually
like the
move
picture
up
in the corner.
Yes. So you can actually move up the whole lot onto an objective and say, this is my objective now.
Yeah.
Take it. So that's my plan.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. Look forward to seeing it when we have a mid-war tourney.
So those are the lists that you guys have made. I hadn't quite realised that Adam had gone a bit off-piste with that one, so nobody made any Romanians or anything. But my job was this, because there's a whole bunch of mid-war monsters in this release. Now, before we start talking specifically about mid-war monsters, how does everybody feel about them generally, given that they're now incorporated in the books, which for tournament terms means that they can just be taken. They're not an add-on or an extra. They're actually in the book. So when somebody says, from any of the Eastern Front lists, then suddenly it's Stura Emils and Tiger Peas and all of that sort of stuff up the wazoo.
I don't. Most of them are fine. I think they're pointed roughly right. There's a couple in there that I think are pointed very wrong. They seem most to have hammers and sickles in them, but
you're not saying Russian bias, are you? This isn't World of Tanks.
Yeah, well, this is not World of Tanks or World of Warships, but
it's World of Flames of War.
Yeah, that's right. The game about the movie about the but in general, I think they're fine. I think there might be a couple that TOs from big events might say, yes, you can. Well, you obviously can bring them because they're in the list, but they'll put limitations on some of them. I don't expect there'll be too many tournaments allowing KB5s. But I can see Soviet players rejoicing because they've got their KV-85s back.
Yeah.
That was pretty much any time you were playing mid-war, you'd just see Soviet KV-85s or Shermans. That was the only 2 tanks that they seemed to have.
Yeah.
I'm a bit on the fence. Like I like the fact that they've included them again, but don't try and get me to name vehicles, but I know there's a lot of other people out there that would have rathered more common vehicles included opposed to the rarer one, because I know a lot of the criticism that they got was they've included rarer vehicles, but then their argument is that another specific vehicle that was more common wasn't common enough to be included in other lists. So I'm a bit on the fence, but I like the fact they've come out. I think it's a good step forward because hopefully it will mean other rarer vehicles, but perhaps a bit more common than these might be seen again. Specifically the Panzer 470A, but that's for late war anyway. So
yeah,
just throwing that out there.
I think I could see the argument for allowing ones that actually were fielded. Like were actually so like something like the KV-85, the KV-5 and the KV-3 are pretty much blueprint tanks.
Yeah,
right, they had designs, but they were never made. Whereas most of them were fielded. Yeah, look, And as far as like less used tanks or more variety or whatever, I mean, there's nothing stopping you from submitting a community card.
There's no,
If you
but
would.
they're not supplying the model. So I think if they're willing to do
Yeah.
bid war monsters, then they should be willing to. I think there'd be more demand for more rarer vehicles, but a lot more common than like
Yeah.
the Dicker Max, for example. Like what was that?
Yeah.
There was only one that I don't even know if
Two.
that saw combat.
2 were built.
Or two, and I think one broke down and was one captured, or I'm not
Which
sure
one?
if it saw combat.
The Stirrer
One was
Animal.
abandoned.
Oh,
Yeah, ran out of fuel,
So-
basically. Broke down.
Yeah.
But,
So
cool
I-
inclusion.
I'd have to say my point of view on that, though, is as Spammerai just said, the really
Yes.
obscure things that people want to do, that's where 3D
Now-
printers are going
now
to
you
come
can-
into it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, again,
Get a 3D printer, Kristian. God, what's your problem?
But BF did such great resin
Agreed.
like vehicles, and they've just disappeared. Like I would love to see them, even if it's just like a yearly thing. We're just gonna, put these on for a month, and
Yeah.
you can buy
That-
whatever you want,
Yep.
and they can be
Mhm.
included in the books as command cards or whatever.
Well,
They've got all these sculpts, and they're just not going to use them. It seems crazy to me.
I think if they did, like, and I've seen it on the Flames of War official page a few times on Facebook, someone saying, look, do a like a limited order run of these vehicles. Everyone has to go put their name down, pay for the vehicle up front, and then they'll do a run of whatever, 50, 100. Like they'll have to have a minimum order,
Yeah.
and then print 50 of them or whatever, and
There's
then
a-
everyone gets.
there's a big
that's what I
company
think they should do.
that does exactly the same thing with a specific. I won't go into who it is, but I think most people will know who it is. They go into a specific run and they only do it for
Yeah.
a month, and then they move on to the next thing. So if you've missed
Yeah.
that month, it's too bad. You miss out on your model, but you had the chance to get it. I think it's just a waste that they had these beautiful molds and
Yeah.
they're just not using them.
The only
Seems
thing
a
is, I think
shame.
some of the molds that get, even like the white metal and resin ones, that get flogged out at the end of their runs. So they would have to commit to basically redoing the mold, which is not a problem. They've done it before already, because it's much cheaper to do the metal and resin ones. But I mean, if they had a minimum order of say like 100 vehicles or whatever it was, like
and
if
once
we
it
don't reach-
reaches the threshold,
and
They'll
then
get
if
that
it
in a
doesn't reach it,
heartbeat.
you get exactly. People will
They'll
do
get
it.
that, and you see how
I
common
agree.
it is on all those trading Facebook groups that people want the rarer, harder to find stuff, infantry box sets, vehicle box sets. They could just do. They would make a killing, but I'm no businessman, so I don't know.
Are
But
you
it just
listening,
seems
Pete?
silly
Pete, are you
to
listening?
me.
So Spammerai was saying that's an issue with Battlefront as a whole with me. I just can't get things because everyone who wants them got them when they were brand new. So yeah, it can be a bit hard if you're new to the game and you want specific things.
Yeah.
Again, I was casting around for L6 39s or whatever they are for my Australians, and I couldn't get them from anywhere. So yeah, that can be an issue. But again, the idea of maybe putting up a list of things and saying when we get 100 or 200 orders for these, we'll fill them might be a worthwhile thing for them to do. I just get worried with the super tank things that if you take a more historical list to a tournament and then somebody rocks up with all the Stirrer Emils and Dicker Maxes that were ever built plus 5 more, that, you just end up not being able to do anything about it. So that's probably my point of view on that. Kristian, what were you going to say?
I think they're
about that?
12 points, aren't they, for the Dicker Max and the Stirrer ML? I think it's the same cost. As
7 points for 1, 13 points for 2 on the Dicker Max.
Oh, 7
and
points. Ooh,
Yeah.
that is cheap.
7
Oh, wow.
points. I thought that. And so for 25 points, you can get 2 Stirrer Emils and 1 Dicker Max as a group for 25
See, now
points.
that would be a better inclusion. Like for my list, I had 1 Tiger P. I would definitely scrap that for 3 of those if I was looking from a
Yep.
tournament point of view. Yeah, so I get your point completely, Ari. I think it's if like someone like Adam comes along, he's spent all this time with a really historical list and he's got the history behind. Then I come along with something that's crazy, like you've just said. It does sort of ruin the moment.
The motorcycles on machine guns versus the Dick and Mac Stirrer Emil sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
but I
do
know
we-
what I'm doing when I enter the event. I know what I'm getting into, but not
Yeah.
everyone does.
That's true.
Mm.
Okay, so we are running short of time, so we might just go through these very quickly. So the Stirrer Emil, which we were talking about before, is German for stubborn Emil. So it's limited traverse, only carries 15 rounds for the main gun. Based on the Henschel VK30.01 chassis mated with a Rheinmetall 12.8 centimeter gun based on the Flak 40. So it's a massive, great gun. But only 2 were ever built, so they were only like prototypes. And the only surviving example that I could find is in the Kubinka Tank Museum. So that's what that is. So it's a massive, great gun. It does have some armor. Armor is 5 front, 2 side, and 0 top. So it's got a little bit of armor. So it's not a complete glass cannon. And as we said, points-wise, for 25 points, you can have 2 of the Stirrer Emils and a Dicker Max, or they're about 9 points each. Dicker Max is, so that's Fat Max in German, which I didn't know until I looked that up today. Panzer IV chassis mated with a 10.5 centimeter cannon. Only 2 ever built. Meant to be a bunker buster on the Maginot Line, but the Maginot Line wasn't very exciting. So apparently they sent it to the Eastern Front for evaluation as a tank destroyer, where they were all lost, I believe. The other one, which is quite cute, is the 8.8 centimeter bunker flak. So that's basically just a SDKFZ 18 half-track artillery tractor with a 8.8 centimeter gun on a platform on the back. And again, that was meant to be an anti-fortification weapon. So a few more of those were built, and they were used in Poland, apparently. And in France, they were very handy because they could take on the Char B1s and Matilda 2s. So they proved fairly popular for that. Although, to be honest, hanging off the back of a platform, engaging armored tank things, you'd want to be hidden, particularly on something that tall. You'd want to have like a really good bush that you were hiding behind, I would have thought. But those are about 6 points each, so they're not. You could quite handily add those to a list.
Yeah. They're like basically a cheap Mobile 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good value, I think. It's just, don't get them shot at. But yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Tiger P, so we've had a look at those. Again, that's the Ferdinand one with the petrol electric drive. So there were 10 of those made, and then there were 90 hulls that also went to become Ferdinands out of those. And the other interesting one was the Panzer I infantry tank, which is the Panzer I Ausführung F, designed to directly support infantry. So it's very heavily armoured. The armour is 852. This thing is more heavily armoured than a Sherman.
Yeah.
And armed with 2 MG34s.
It doesn't seem worthwhile.
So basically it was a response to, they made all these tanks for the German army that ran off and fought tank battles. And the infantry generals were sort of going, hey, we want something over here that is just for infantry support. So that's pretty much what this was for. What was the comment?
20mm cannon on there would have been a bit better, I think.
20mm cannon would have been nice, but again, what are you trying to shoot through? These guys wanted mobile machine gun support.
Yeah, it's literally a close infantry support tank.
But again, the reason these weren't very widely fielded was because it weighed as much as a medium tank, because essentially it had the armour of a medium tank, and it cost as much to produce. Although the one wrinkle is it does have wider track, so it actually had very good flotation over soft ground. So those are the German mid-war monsters that I could find. Then we get into the Russians. Adam, you were talking about some of these before.
Yeah. So I think they added the KV-85 as well.
I might have to go back and have a look. I might have missed that one.
Yeah, that's all right.
So there's a whole bunch of KVs that they've added in. So like the KV-3. I was surprised how early these were, because both of these were in development before the German invasion in the middle of 41. And it was moving the factories over to the Ural Mountains, where they decided to not pursue any of these designs and to actually stick with just making KV-1s because they already had the tooling for them.
Yeah.
So both the KV-3 and the KV-5 have the 107mm ZIS-6 gun. So a massive, great big gun on it, because they were expecting German heavy tanks. And they were thinking that their existing tanks would have trouble handling those. So these designs were put up. So they are ludicrously heavily armoured. So the KV-3 is 10-8-2, so 10 in the front, 8 in the side, 2 in the rear. Very, very hard to penetrate. But they do get a bunch of downsides. So they have the heavy tank, which gives them a counterattack rating that's basically they're better at resisting counterattacks because they've got very, very thick armour. They do have overworked, so they get a +1 penalty when they shoot on the move. And they get a better assault rating because they've got a turret rear machine gun. So that's the KV-3 for that one.
So I did an article on the T-43, which won't be out yet, but that was interesting. That's basically they've increased the front armor of the T-34 and this design was
the T-43, yep.
Yeah, it was actually the T-34M, which they were going to do, and then it stopped because they figured we didn't need it. So then when they looked at, hang on, we need to start up armoring and up in the medium tanks, because they wanted like a super medium tank, something that they wouldn't have to produce heavy tanks anymore. They could just produce lots of these.
The universal tank, yeah.
Yeah, basically. And they worked out that even with the if they upgraded the armor, they wouldn't be able to upgrade the gun.
So the T-43 still have the 76.2
that's right
mil F-34 gun, don't they?
Yeah, so they made that bigger turret just to put more crew in. That wasn't really. They thought, well, we can put a bigger gun in it, but once we do that, it actually loses mobility. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
But what did come out of the T-43 was the T-34-85 because they
took the turret.
Yep.
Yeah, so they took that turret design and upped it to the 85mm gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They also, so the chassis was also still used though, because that actually formed the basis for the T-44 hull, the thing that actually went on to become the T-55.
Mm-hmm.
So the transverse engine mounting and torsion bar suspension and that kind of stuff. Because, the T-43 has torsion bars rather than Christie, so it actually takes up less space in the hull. The torsion bars are actually underneath, so you get a little bit more room inside.
But the addition of the commander's coupler was good on this too. Yeah. But not to be. They basically realised that it was more beneficial to upgrade the gun than to try and up armor it. Yeah. And then also, and the biggest problem also was that it was going to slow down tank production.
Yep.
If they changed models, and they thought, well, we can't. They didn't want that at all. Not the opposite of the Germans, which were making all this lots of little different variants.
But they look cooler.
They do, 100%.
So you mentioned the KV-85, Adam. So That's different from the IS-85?
It is the same thing.
It is the same thing, okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
just a different designation for it, because I found them much more useful in my IS-2 list.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of IS-85s as my anti-tank tanks, whereas the IS-2s I was using more for assault. And they weren't very useful. The IS-85s were much better.
I'm pretty sure. Hang on, I shouldn't say that. I'm fairly sure it's the same thing. It was like a precursor tank that they.
I think you're actually right. I do think you are.
But, yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, so I must have missed one there if that one is in the book.
Yeah,
So
it was never in. It was never in the Soviet stuff previously, and people were kind of whinging that it wasn't there. So.
Right. And the KV-85 has even heavier armor. So what's that? 1410-2. So that's why it's a super heavy tank. This thing's just a lump of steel.
The Ferdinand of mid-war.
But what about the points for it? It's 1 for 16 points.
Yeah, 32 points for 2, 48 for 3, 64 for 4, or 80 points for 5. I really want to have a list where I just buy 5 of these and just come to a table and just drop them onto one end and have, my KV-8 flame tanks as well, and then just go, come on, what do you got?
Half of your force would be off the table in reserve, unless you're attacking. But...
Yeah, but when it did come on the table, you definitely worry somebody. Oh dear. So that's those. We are over time, but let's do the other ones. So the other couple are the TACAM T60. So that was interesting. I didn't know much about that one until I started researching it. So captured T60 light tank chassis armed with 76.2 mil field gun by the Romanians. So yeah, basically they lose a big chunk of their tank force and then had to make do with whatever they could find. So they had captured a bunch of T60s.
Their tank force wasn't very good to start with. All they had, the best they had was like a Romanian version of the Panzer 38. No, the 35T.
Right.
So the Czech Panzer. So, yeah, they basically got a whole heap of second-hand German Panzer 3s and 4s, but they wouldn't let them have anything like a Marder. I think they wanted Marders, and they wouldn't give them to them. So basically,
right.
Fine, their own Marders. So, yeah.
So Allard is talking about the KV-85s or the IS-85s.
Yeah, no, he's asking if you can build
if you can build them. And yeah, I think you can. I'm pretty sure because I think I've reviewed that kit. So I think I'll go back and have a look, but I'm pretty sure that is an option.
So the KV-85 kit that you can buy now for mid-war monsters is the IS-2, but there's only 2 of them in the box, I'm pretty sure. Right,
okay. And the last one is the WWIII assault gun. So that's the 75mm armed long anti-tank version of the WWIII, as opposed to the short 75 howitzer armed one.
105mm howitzer.
105, yep, you're right, 10.5.
So this was the actual original WWIII. This is WWIII 1.
Yeah,
it's what the Hungarians actually wanted to do originally, and the Germans wouldn't give them Pak 40s. So basically, they wanted to mount a Pak 40 in here. So then they made their own, basically a Hungarian Pak 40. It's got some different designation, but it's essentially the same gun.
Yeah.
But they couldn't make enough of the 75mm weapons to put in them, and then they went, well, instead we'll put the 105 howitzer on it. But which turned out to probably be better. But yeah, if the Hungarians had done what they wanted to do originally, this would be the main variant, and they would have some support, like the Stugs and the Stu. They would have some of the 105mm howitzers to help support them. But
yeah, fair enough.
What was the Axis obsession with self-propelled guns?
They were cheaper to produce and faster to produce,
And you could put a
and-
heavier gun on the same chassis if
Right,
it wasn't in a
okay.
turret. So you'll
And,
notice, so they're very low, so good for ambush. You can put a heavier gun on the same chassis. You'll notice that things like the Panzer III gun tanks have a slightly lighter gun than the Stug based on the same chassis. So basically, because you can bolt it into the floor and it doesn't have to have a turret ring,
Right.
it can handle a bigger gun. So the chassis absorbs all the recoil without it trying to crack your turret ring or doing that sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's
just
my
always
understanding of how it works.
It's always just been a question I've been meaning to ask or research, because I'm no historian, but just seems crazy that they've got like a million varieties of different self-propelled guns, whereas the Allies went a different route completely.
Yeah, the Allies tended to have tank-like things with guns in a turret. So the Sherman 105, the M10 tank destroyer, they went for things like that, whereas the Germans quite often would put that in a case-mated thing.
Yeah, Trekkien's made a good point.
Yeah. If the price of a Tiger was 300,000 Reichsmarks, a Sturmgeschütz 3 was about 80,000 Reichsmarks.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
So you can have a whole bunch of Stug 3s.
And faster to produce, not only
And
cost.
faster to produce, less man hours. So Trekan, that's a very, very good point there.
Quickly on the Zrini, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's the Hungarians made their own version of the Nobelwerfers.
Oh, right. No, I haven't seen that.
There's a late war Zrini variant where they've strapped 3 Nobel barrels on each side.
Yep.
I'm fingers crossed, late war, whatever version of Mid War Monsters they want to call it. I want that. That's what I want.
I'm just thinking about the plastic kits. It wouldn't be too hard to bash that out of the existing Zrini if it's not too different.
Or you just mate with a 3D printer, and I'm sure he could make you some to slap on the side of your Zrini.
Yep, fair enough.
If the Hungarians get that, then the Germans get, what was it, the Mals or whatever, the bloody massive.
But the British had the tulip launchers for the Shermans, which was essentially the same thing. It was rockets, 2 sets of rockets on the side of the turret of the Sherman. They were once only firing and just
60-pound aircraft rockets, if I remember correctly, stuck on launchers welded on the side of Shermans. Yes. I would have loved to have been at that meeting. No, guys, I've got this great idea. Like, I'll get the welder out. Hang on. I know those Typhoons do a great job, but I'm sure we can do it with our Shermans as well.
Land Tiffies.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we're nearly 15 minutes over time again, as we always seem to do. Thanks for everybody who came and joined us. I hope you had a good time. We always have a good time here when we're talking about this stuff. It was a bit late to the party because the Eastern Front stuff has been out for a while, but always worth having a bit of a look at. And I learned a lot about the mid-war monstery stuff that I didn't know. So does anybody have anything else they want to say as we wrap up? Adam?
No.
Oh, okay. Kristian, what about you?
Just a good one would be for people that are watching this now and later on. Hit Fog of War up on Facebook and let us know what you want us to talk about next month.
Yes.
We keep coming up with it, and why don't we let the community decide for the next one?
We could do a what do you call it? A poll.
A poll. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I must actually start getting back to making some content because I've been working on my studio construction, but I need to get back to some stuff.
We'll all be jealous once that's finished.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's just full of stuff at the moment, again. But, because I got box sets of Yag Panthers and, Yag Tigers and Tiger 2s. They finally turned up in Australia, and I think the box turned up like 2 weeks ago, and I opened it yesterday. It's
Ooh.
just been a bit crazy here. So
In one of those fortnights.
it's been one of those about 8 weeks now.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, if anybody has ideas of what they want us to cover, please make a comment on Fog of War or something like that. Send us some information, and we'll
Yeah.
definitely consider it. I hope
Unless
the
I have
stuff
to
that
think
we've been
about it.
covering has been good. All right, so we should probably wrap it up. So thank you everybody for watching, and we will probably be doing this in a month again. So good night, everybody.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.